It was supposed to be a simple, late-night road trip.
This fog is so thick it's creepy.
Yeah, I can barely see the road.
Did you see that shadow?
It's just the tree.
Just a few friends, laughter, music, and a sense of freedom that comes from being far away from the city lights. They had been planning this drive for weeks, a small escape from work, from life, from the endless monotony that sometimes made them feel trapped. At first, the night was ordinary. The moon hung high, pale and soft, casting silvery light over the winding road. Their headlights cut through the fog in long, narrow beams, illuminating the familiar patterns of trees that lined the edges of the asphalt. They joked and laughed, sharing stories of their childhoods, teasing each other over small things, unaware of the quiet darkness creeping in around them. The first hint that something was off came subtly. It wasn't a sound, not yet, but a feeling, a creeping unease that settled over the car like a weight. The GPS flickered, showing a route that seemed wrong, confusing. Must be a glitch, one of them said. But the more they drove, the more the road seemed unfamiliar, as if the path they had taken countless times before had shifted into something unrecognizable. The familiar landmarks disappeared, replaced by endless stretches of dark trees, their branches clawing at the edges of the windshield. The fog thickened, curling like smoke around the headlights, muting the world into gray and black. Something about the night felt alive. They missed the turn, just one wrong turn, barely noticeable, but the consequences were immediate. The road ahead narrowed, twisted, and seemed to lead nowhere. They tried to backtrack, but the GPS gave no clear guidance, only a blank screen in a spinning circle of uncertainty. Panic began to creep in, subtle at first, then more insistent. It started with small things: a branch snapping somewhere behind the car, a shadow flitting past the corner of a windshield, the faint impression of movement in the trees. "It's just an animal," one of them insisted. But their voices were hollow, lacking the conviction they hoped for. As they drove deeper, the forest seemed to grow heavier. The air turned cold and damp, their breaths visible in the faint light from the dashboard. Every mile brought more strange occurrences. An abandoned cabin appeared suddenly on the side of the road. Its windows were dark, the paint peeling, and an oppressive feeling radiated from it. One of the friends, curious despite the warnings of the others, insisted they stop to look. The door creaked open on its own, revealing nothing but empty darkness inside. Yet they could feel it watching, something unseen, moving just beyond the faint light. The tension escalated. Shadows moved independently, slipping across the road even when there was nothing to cast them. Strange noises echoed through the trees, whispers that seemed human but never formed words. Their phones flickered and died, leaving them in a darkness that was suddenly very real, very heavy. The friends tried to reassure one another, but every glance at the rearview mirror made them question their own sanity. Shapes moved in the periphery of vision, figures that were never fully seen but always present. Panic set in, subtle at first, then insistent, gripping, paralyzing. Then came the encounter. A shadow detached itself from the forest, moving toward them with a silent, deliberate pace. Its eyes glowed faintly in the distance, and the friends realized with horror that this was not an animal, nor some trick of the light. Their instinct screamed to flee, yet the road ahead seemed to stretch endlessly. One friend ran, disappearing into the fog, leaving only a scream swallowed by the night. Others tried to escape, but the shadows were everywhere, following them, testing them, breaking their resolve. It wasn't a chase, it was a hunt, and they were the prey. Time seemed to stretch, distorted by fear. Every turn was wrong, every shadow, a potential threat. The night itself felt alive, bending reality, twisting perception. The survivors stumbled, tripping over roots and rocks, crashing through underbrush, hearts hammering. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, and sweat cooled instantly on their skin in the chilling air. Every sound, footsteps, whispering, the snapping of branches, made them flinch, made them question if their friends had vanished into thin air or if something else had claimed them first. Hours felt like minutes and minutes felt like hours. They found themselves returning, somehow, to the abandoned cabin, though it had changed. Windows that had once been dark now reflected movement within. Faint whispers seemed to echo from the walls, and the air smelled of decay, rot, and something faintly metallic. The friends tried to barricade themselves, using whatever they could find, but every effort seemed futile. The shadows pressed closer, the whispers grew louder, and they realized that escape was no longer just difficult, it was impossible. The climax came when they reached a clearing. For a moment, the fog lifted, revealing the faint outline of a road that seemed familiar. They ran, every step fueled by desperation. One of them glanced behind, only to see a shape, tall and impossibly dark, standing at the edge of the forest. It did not move, did not blink. And yet, its presence was suffocating, tangible, as though the forest itself had sent it to remind them that they were never truly leaving. They reached the main road, exhausted, terrified, the city lights in the distance offering a false sense of relief. Even as they escaped, the unease did not lift. The forest remained behind them, quiet but alive, and the memory of the shadow lingered in their minds. Every night afterward, they would hear it, the whisper of the wrong turn, the distant footsteps in the fog, the unshakable feeling of being watched. Some roads are never meant to be taken. Some mistakes are not just accidents, they are invitations. And the wrong turn, the one that seems insignificant at first, can change everything. Forever. The lesson remained etched in their minds. Vigilance, awareness, and fear are the only companions on a road that refuses to forgive. And sometimes, the night waits, just beyond the light, ready to claim anyone who dares step off the path. For in darkness, in silence, and in fog, the wrong turn is never really wrong. It's destiny.